if it had something went wrong, that's the way it is. We'll accept that. But what happened that day? Just what happened?
What did happen? How does an 82-year-old man go missing in an area that he wouldn't even really be able to walk in? A simple afternoon of running errands may have turned deadly, but with very little clues, we just don't exactly know. It's time to turn on the searchlight for Peter Achermann. Welcome back to Brain Scratch Searchlight. I'm John Lordan. Thank you so much for caring about these cases like I do. Today, we're covering a cold case, and honestly, one that has very little chance of Peter being found alive. But there are still family members looking for answers. They're looking for help. Peter Achermann was born to Heinrich and Berta Achermann in Neuhausen am Rheinfall, Switzerland, on May 21st, 1927. He was the second oldest of 4 children who were all baptized and confirmed at the Holy Cross Catholic Church. Peter also served there as an altar boy. From a young age, he knew that he wanted to be a farmer. At 16 years old, Peter moved away from home and would spend the next 3 years working at different farms around Switzerland while serving out his mandatory time in their military. When he turned 19, he was released from the military and given a passport. With political unrest and poverty in the area due to World War II, Peter decided that America would be the place where he would make his new life. From France, he boarded the SS Washington and traveled to New York, where he disembarked on December 23, 1948. He started working as a hired hand in the commercial farming industry, and when he had enough money saved up, he moved to Osakis, Minnesota. As he worked farms in Bell River and Millerville, he started to see that his neighbors in Osakis lived by a very simple tenet, one that he likely remembered from his days at the Holy Cross Catholic Church. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule taught him how to accept help and how to pay that kindness forward. Some worry that this way of living may have played some part in his disappearance. It was in Osakis that 16-year-old Delane Voigt met the love of her life. She says that when she saw Peter, it was love at first sight, and she decided then and there that she was going to marry him. The wedding would be after she turned 18 on April 13th, 1953 at St. Nicholas Catholic Church in Bell River. The couple would eventually move to Leader, an unincorporated area in Cass County, Minnesota, where Peter accomplished another of his life dreams. They purchased their own farm. While Peter worked the farm, he also held a side job working on a pipeline that was being built from Minnesota to North Dakota. Delane raised their 11 children: John, Mike, Denise, Joseph, Vanessa, Michelle, Franz, twins Desiree and Peter, Renee, and finally Jorg. Obviously, family was very important to Peter. In 2009, the 82-year-old had 22 grandchildren, 32 great-grandchildren, 2 great-great-grandchildren, and they also had 13 foster children who had been taken in by this huge and amazing family. On July 24, 2009, around noon, Peter decided to run some errands. His wife needed her prescription filled, and Peter wanted to buy milk and bananas. He would also be making a stop at Lakewood Health System Hospital and dropping off a check to pay the caterer for his granddaughter Simone's wedding, which was taking place the following day. That night, the family was holding a groom's dinner that Peter would be attending, so Delane expected him back home no later than 3 p.m. Quote, "I didn't go with him that day because I was making Amish bread," Delane said. "He always liked to just jump in the car and go for a run, for something to do." Peter headed first to Motley, which is directly south of Leader, and then he went west to Staples, a total drive of around 20 miles in each direction. Somewhere between noon and 1 p.m., Peter was spotted driving on Warner Road, heading into Staples. He carried about $30 in cash, along with his green card and driver's license for identification. Although cell phones were in use at this time, neither Delane nor Peter actually owned one. CCTV cameras caught some sightings of him that afternoon as he moved around town. His family states that Peter was of sound mind and was as sharp as a tack. Other than the use of a walking cane, he had no serious physical ailments. On camera, he seemed fine when he left Ernie's food store with his milk and bananas. 3 o'clock came and went, but Peter didn't return home and no one had heard from him. Delane knew that he would call her if something was wrong or if he was going to be late. She said he wouldn't be one to go off, and then I thought maybe he went to Piers to visit a friend, but that's not like Peter to do that. Feeling that something was terribly wrong, the family began calling friends and neighbors to see if anyone had seen Peter. While they were at it, they also called the sheriff's office. I was very worried, Delane said. I kept looking down the road to see if he was coming. It was a nice sunny day. I called hospitals all over to see if there had been an accident or whatever. She found nothing. So Jorg and one of his brothers drove around all night and into the next day searching for their father, but they didn't find any signs of him. The next day, everyone but Delane attended Simone's wedding. She wanted to stay at home in case Peter called. Later that evening, a friend of Jorg's called him, saying that a car that looked like Peter's had been seen abandoned on an access road outside of Staples. Jorg found his father's light blue 1995 Chevrolet Caprice wagon stuck in the mud off of Cass County Road 32 near Becker Township, a little over 6 miles from Staples. He was known to take this shortcut a few times, but very rarely. This access road cuts about 2 miles off his trip home, but Delane wondered why he would have driven a different route than he usually would to come home. When Jorg walked up to the car, he noticed that the groceries that Peter bought were still inside, along with the prescriptions that he picked up. The keys to the car were missing, which was actually odd in this case because Peter always left the keys in the vehicle. Also missing was his walking cane, and his wallet was also not found. The ground in this area is rough with lots of underbrush, something Jorg said his father couldn't navigate even with his cane. Once he was sure Peter wasn't in the immediate area, Jorg called 911. As investigators arrived to search the area, Peter's car was examined without gloves, unfortunately, which may have compromised evidence. The family also asked to help with the search, but investigators had a good reason to not have too many people on the site at that time. A helicopter with heat-seeking technology was used in an attempt to find Peter in the swampy area, but there was no trace of him. On the 26th, family and friends were allowed to join the search. More than 200 people showed up and walked hand in hand looking for any signs of Peter. The National Guard was also called in, and over 50 search dogs were used. The scent dogs gave what is called a faint hit, but it couldn't be determined if it was actually from Peter or if they were smelling his car. The family was beginning to wonder if he had actually ever been on that access road at all. Peter was a good Samaritan. If someone needed help, he was there. He'd be the type of person to pick up a hitchhiker that he saw or stop to help people with car trouble. Had his car been ditched at that spot after something had happened to Peter? Delane believes that if he got stuck on the access road, quote, the first thing he would have done is put the pedal to the floor and mud would have flung all over because he would have been pretty disgusted. Then he would have gotten out of the car. I can just see him getting his cigar out, unwrapping it, then pulling out his match to light the cigar, taking a few puffs. I can see him doing this over and over, but there was no sign of this whatsoever. As the years would pass, many searches would be held. A reward of $20,000 was offered, but no one stepped forward. On July 24th, 2013, Peter was declared deceased for legal reasons. The family thinks if Peter would have had a stroke or other medical emergency, his body would have been found by now. Without any real evidence in this case to tell us what happened to Peter, rumors and theories have run rampant. 2 of those theories deal with Peter's Good Samaritan behavior. The family knows that Peter volunteered to help the elderly. One woman he helped told him that some of her farming equipment, which she no longer used, was being looted by a group of scrappers. The scrappers were initially given permission to take some of the items, but then they kept coming back and taking more and more. Peter had actually witnessed them doing this. He reported them to the Cass County Sheriff. Could he have stepped on someone's toes when he called that in to the police? This family lives very close to the location where the car was found. But Delane feels Peter stopped to help someone on the bridge and things got out of hand, she said. This info seems to be supported by Sheriff Birch, who said many times he would stop to help someone. He would help anyone if they needed money. He would give it to them. He wouldn't have tracked off in that area because you would have to be in very good shape. Perhaps the most sinister of these theories was discovered by a family member. While having a conversation on Facebook Messenger with a woman who lived in the area, he asked her if she knew what happened to Peter. After dodging the question, she then stated that she wasn't the one that shot him. It was alluded to that her boyfriend had something to do with Peter's death. That boyfriend later ended his own life. Some things are better taken to the grave, she said, before cutting off the conversation. On August 11th, 2018, the family would find some small piece of closure when they held a celebration of life at St. Michael Catholic Church in Motley. Peter had left instructions for the family telling them how he would like his funeral to be conducted in his memoirs. A book titled The Journey of a Lifetime was written by his niece, Rebecca Achermann, taking information from his 329 journal pages, which were all written in German, translated by his brother, and then given to Rebecca. At the end of his book, Peter writes, "My hope is that in dying, I will be able to have my family around me, and that for my loved ones, it will be a positive experience. My hope is that the main feelings or beliefs of all should be thankfulness for the good years, forgiveness of past weaknesses, and the knowledge of eternal life." Delane is now in her 80s and wants more than anything to find out what happened to the love of her life, the man that she had been married to for 60 years. The family doesn't just want closure for their mother, but to know where their father is and exactly what happened to him. One of their daughters, Desiree, said, "His car is the only thing we ever found. Someone knows something. And if we can get this story out, then maybe someone will remember something happening." Peter Achermann stands at about 5 foot 9 inches tall and weighs about 175 pounds. He has gray hair, brown eyes, and a black and gray beard. He walks with a cane due to multiple hip replacement surgeries, which did leave scars. He also wears eyeglasses and a full set of dentures. Peter was last seen wearing a tan and brown cotton button-down shirt, tan cargo pants, boxer shorts, a leather belt imprinted with a Native American saying, tan socks with rust-colored toes, brown Dr. Scholl's shoes with Velcro closures, and a floppy red, white, and blue crocheted beret with a silver crucifix necklace. "Please tell us if you know anything so we can offer closure for the family," Sheriff Tom Birch said. "Even if someone knows something that they don't think is a big deal or important, please call us, as it might help the investigation." The sheriff's office continues to work with the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and is committed to solving the disappearance. There is still that $20,000 reward offered if this leads to an arrest and conviction, and if the person or persons are responsible as the result of foul play. Anyone with information, tips, or leads on Peter's whereabouts is asked to contact the sheriff's office at 1-800-450-2677 or 218-547-1424. Since 2015, we have always run limited commercial ads for the benefit of the viewers and the families that we're trying to help. Obviously, we can't do that without support. A big thank you to PayPal supporters Brandy Fry and Angela Welch Sola. If you'd like to help, please visit LordanArts.com. There you can sign up for Patreon, sign up for PayPal, buy merchandise, or even just buy us a coffee like Candy Bishop recently did. We really appreciate your support on our mission to run as few ads as possible while we're helping as many cases as we can. I want to give a very big thank you to the Brainerd Dispatch, who did an excellent job of covering this case and sharing Peter's story. You'll find a link to that article down below if you want to dig in even deeper. Also, thank you to the Vanish podcast for the interviews they conducted with the family. Other sources include theechopress.com, Charlie Project, WCTRIB.com, CBS News, and Wikipedia. Also, thank you to everyone that's been there for this family over the years and will continue to be there to help support them as they look for answers. Please take a moment to share this video with any friends you have in that area of Minnesota, and let's please keep those eyes, ears, and hearts open and looking for Peter Achermann. I'll see you again here soon on the LordanArts channel.